Hello everyone and welcome to another Mondays with Michele video. This week we're going to talk about templates, what they are, how to create them, and why we should use them. Let's get started. If I wanted to open up a document I'd created, you'll notice we're looking at files. If I was looking at my Word documents that have this .doc designation, and that identifies it to the computer as a word processing document. And what we're used to doing is either doing a file open or just finding our file and double clicking it. So here's basically a newsletter that I created. And the idea of a template is we may want to reuse this document. So I've set this up as a monthly newsletter that the idea will be each month I'm going to publish a different story about one of the ancestors that I've been researching. So as you can see, I've got my title block, a lovely picture, and space for the story and some pictures to illustrate the story. And if I need more space, I'll just go on to the next page. But the problem is right now, this is a Word document. I've saved it as my family newsletter. But if I now want to do the January newsletter, usually what we do is we open up our December file, we save it out as a different name, and then we start deleting some of the content that we wrote in December and putting in the January content. And you can certainly do that. However, my students have found, and I have found from experience, that occasionally we kind of forget to save the file out as another name. And before you know it, you've actually lost your December newsletter because you have just overtyped all the information. So there is a better way to deal with that situation, and that's by setting up a template file. And I'll show you what that looks like. So this other entry, Michele's newsletter template, you'll notice the file type says .dot. So DOC is your document, DOT is the template. If I double click a template file, it opens it up and gives it a default name. So it does the exact same thing as if I had selected File New and wanted a blank document, but it has some basic information already set up because I set up my template this way. So I can now go in and start typing. I can go, this is my new newsletter. I can change my date to January. I could insert pictures, and then I can save it. And let me just see where I'm going to save it to. I can save it as my January newsletter, and you notice I'm saving it as a Word file, as a document, and I've now saved it, and it's confirming up top here, it's confirming the name I've given it. So there is an advantage to creating a template. So let's look at how you would do that. So let me just close this file down and close this one down and go back to Word. So here's how I created my newsletter template. I started with a blank document and I inserted a 2-column table. So what you're seeing here is my 2-column table, and I just created 4 rows. What I then did was selected these first 2 rows and I changed the shading. So under table design, I went in and I said, let's make those cells this dark blue. And then I said, let's make these 2 cells this light blue color. And I said, let's make these 2 this medium blue. So I have this structure here. What I then did was I said, let's take that first row. Let's make the font quite a bit bigger. I'll make it 48 point, and I'm going to make my text white. And now I'm going to type in my title. And I'm going to put a picture in. So I'm going to find the picture of, let's see, picture of my father and I. I'm going to put that picture in, and I'm going to make it this soft focus. I'll probably shrink the picture a bit. And I'm going to resize these borders. I'll move it over just a bit. So that looks pretty good. Now, I'm also going to set the date of my newsletter. So I could do December 2022. But I don't want all this space below. In this case, I'm going to select these 2 and I'm going to merge them. So what I now have, you notice it's rearranged things. So I have this picture taking up the space of those 2 cells. Here, I've got everything nicely aligned. I have this separate cell where I can change the date. And I've now got space where I can start typing. So I could put a story in here, another picture. I could put a second story here and another picture there. I can decide however I want to use it, but I have basically my template set up. And I think the only other thing I'm going to do with this, I think I'm going to center it. I think that looks better. Now, the one thing I will do here, I'm going to select this table, go into table design, and I'm going to hide all of the borders so that you can see this is the final look of my newsletter template. If I now want to save this out as a template, I've got a few choices. I could go to my file menu, do a save as, and I can locate the folder where I want to place my template. Now, I'm going to place it in this particular folder here. but I don't want to save it as a DOC file. I'm going to give it the name, My Rent and Roots, but instead of a doc file, I'm going to choose this fourth entry that says Word template.dot. And watch what happens as soon as I click template. It's changed where it's going to save this file. It's going to save it in a folder that Microsoft Word uses to store your custom templates in. So it is redirecting this template file to be saved in a folder called Custom Office Templates. Now, if I don't decide to save it there, if I go back and save it in the folder I originally chose, and it says DOT, and I now click, what will happen is in order for me to use that template, I need to remember which folder I stored it in. So if I now close down Word and I'm back in this Let's Write Templates, here is My Rent and Roots.dot. That's the file that I just created. And I would have to double click it to start up a blank document. And you can see by blank document, I mean a brand new unnamed document. All it has in the file is whatever my template was set to. So this file right now is called document 1. And I would save this after I've put in all of my text. I would save this as a normal Word document, a .doc file. So at this point, if I was to add text, I am not touching the template file that I created. I am working with a Word document. But the problem is, if I close this down, if I was to start up Word and go to choose a new file, and instead of blank document, if I want to pick my new template, my custom templates, Word thinks are going to be under this personal tab, but my newsletter isn't here. That's because I chose to save it in my own folder instead of letting Word save it to the custom templates folder. So let's go back and let's create the document and save it out to this custom folder so that you can see the difference. So I'm going to go back in to where I placed the template. I'm going to double click it. So I'm not opening up the template. I'm opening up a copy of a document based on that template. But right now, this is not a template file. This is a doc file. If I was to go and save it, it is saving it by default as a DOC file. So what I'm going to do now, here is my document that I want to save out as my Rent and Roots newsletter template, but I want to place it in the folder that Word has set aside for custom templates. So I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to go back. And if all I do is select Word template, it automatically changes to save it to this special custom office templates folder. And I'm going to let it have the name My Rent and Roots, and I'm going to click Save. Now, if I close this down, and I'm going to start Word up again, I'm going to say I want a brand new file, but this time I'm going to go down here to look at my personal custom templates, and look, my template for My Rent and Roots is here. If I click on it, it is opening up a Word document based on that template. So that's the difference in saving your templates to your own folder, where you may want to store all of the templates that you have created, versus storing them in the place that Word expects. If you store them in your own folder and don't use Word's custom template folder, you lose the ability to choose those templates right from that screen where you would normally choose your blank document. So in other words, when I do a file new, if I haven't let the template save to the folder that Word has set aside, I lose the ability to view all of my templates easily from this one spot and select them just by clicking on that template name. Now, something you do need to be aware of, what we are doing when we select these templates or double click a template, we are not opening the template itself. We are opening a new document based on that template. So sometimes we might need to actually update the template. What if, for example, I want to change the color of my newsletter table? So instead of blues, I want to go to a completely different color scheme, and I don't want to change it every month. I want it to automatically show up with that new color scheme from now on. I have to actually update the base template. So to do that, I have to open the template, just like you would open a document file that you want to do more work on. So I'm going to have to do a file open. I'm going to have to browse for that template. And in this case, I know that Word stuck it in that custom office template folder. Here is my template. And if I now click open, you can tell you are editing the template itself, because you notice up top, it is telling you the file name that you have open is myrentandroots.dot. This is not a brand new document file based on the template. I am looking at the template itself, and I'm going to change this color scheme. So first, let's select those cells, go to table design, and I'm going to select this dark orange. And I'm going to do the same thing with this cell here. And I'm going to select a pale orange there. And I'm going to select a medium orange. So here is my new color scheme. And in fact, let's see, maybe I'll make it even darker. Yes, I think I will make it the very dark brown, just to give more contrast. Okay, so this is our new color scheme. And I want to now save this out so that anytime I create a document from my template, it's going to have this color scheme instead of the blues. So I would go to my File menu, do a Save As. I would go to that Custom Template folder, and I've already got my file name selected. I'm going to click Save. And now I'm going to close this down. Now, when I start up Word again, I'm going to say New Document, look at my personal templates, and select My Rent and Routes. It's showing up, brand new document, based on that updated color scheme. If I was to go to the folder that I had set up, not the one that Word had, but my own folder where I stored the template. And if I double click it, this one, I hadn't changed. This one still has the blue color scheme. So you need to be aware, as I said, if you are actually wanting to update the template, you've got to open the file by doing File, Open, and locating that DOT template file. Make your changes and save them. If what you want to do is start a brand new document based on that template, that's where you're going to go File New, because you want a new document, and you are going to select the template if you saved it into Word's template folder, or you would have to go into your File Explorer, locate the template if you saved it somewhere else other than where Word placed it, and double click the template to open up a brand new unnamed file based on that template. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about templates today is I think most people aren't aware how many templates are provided for free with Word. So if we scroll down, these are all the Word templates that have been already created that you can use as a starting point. So for instance, if I type in newsletter, I could try this one, and I click create, and look at that. So I could change this photo to one of my photos. I could change it to the photo of my father and I. And the nice thing about using a template, do you see that it is kept all the same formatting, the photo frame, the sizing, so you don't have to spend a lot of time resizing things if your template already has those elements set up. So that can make life a lot easier when you are trying to create a document, especially a document you know you are going to reuse. So think of things like research logs or pedigree charts or any document that you are going to want to create over and over again. Your research report. on something that you have investigated. That would be an ideal thing to set up as a template so that you are reducing the amount of work you have to do from scratch. And again, if I close down this particular item and go back in to do a brand new file. The other item I was looking at, because Christmas is coming, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice to do some kind of family history gift? Well, I thought maybe I could do a photo calendar. Well, they just happen to have all kinds of different templates where I could add in my own pictures. So I would encourage you to take a look at what your word processing software offers, because these are just some of the categories that are available. They have cards. You can basically type in anything you want and search to see if there is already a template, and you can go in and edit that template to suit you. Now, I know some of you don't use Word, and some of you are looking at what is there available that is free to use as a word processor. So one of the other things I wanted to show you was there is a product called LibreOffice. And if we go into their word processor, LibreOffice is one of many word processing tools. Most word processing tools these days will open .doc files. And just to show you, if I look back at the newsletter files I created, this is the file I created in Word. I can open it up in LibreOffice. I can edit it. I can add to it. I can save it out again. I can do whatever I want to that document. And I could also save it out as a template. And in fact, I could create templates in LibreOffice the same way I can in Word. So this concept of creating a template file is something that exists with every word processing program. So I could create my template file for LibreOffice. And if I now say I want a brand new document and I want to look at my templates, here is the template I had saved that I created before. And if I say, yes, I want to open that, it is opening it up as a brand new untitled document. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. I know you can't wait to start creating your own templates. Have fun, and I'll see you online next week. Thanks for watching.